Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat, and welcome back to Let Us Play. I'm your host, Father Evan. It's good to be back with y'all today. I hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's surviving this heat in America, if you're experiencing that, or anywhere else in the world, because it is nasty outside today. I tell you what. But that's okay, because where we're going, it's going to be much cooler. That's right, we're going to ancient Israel. Okay, well, so in universe it may not be as cold, but it's going to be fun. So we're going to play another round of Kings of Israel. I had a lot of fun with this last week. I want to keep playing a little bit more. This is probably going to be the last time we play it. I think we've really kind of seen the totality of it, but I kind of want to see how the level up system works and things. So let's go ahead. Let's dive into a game. Okay, I have the Well-Informed Prophet once per turn. He can look at either of the next two locations that will gain Sin Clouds or the next two resources. Ooh. And the Sailor can travel between any seaport to any other seaport in a single action. And once per turn, a Sin Cloud can be removed for free at a seaport. Okay, I was about to say, that Sailor portion's not great, but the free seaport, the imported cedar. This becomes a permanent action for all prophets. The prophet in Joppa may spend 1 gold and gain up to 3 wood. It can be distributed among all prophets. Okay. Okay, I get it. I don't see a reason to not just do that. Give them that ability. Yeah, let's do a vision. Oh, there it is. I always miss where it says to do the thing. I think at this point, let's look at the resources. Hello? Cattle and gold. Okay. So I don't think I really want to get the second gold with him. I think I want to save it for the Sailor, but he can take the cattle. I guess we'll preach here in Samaria while we're here, since there are a couple clouds. What? There's an idol? There's an idol in Gilead. I don't remember that song. Okay, get the gold for him before we forget. Okay, so he's starting in Akko, so I can take him down to Joppa. Can take him to Joppa and get some wood, actually. And if I do that, it's what? Stone, wood, gold? For an altar? So let's fast sail there. Get that imported cedar. Make sure he gets one. He can take the other two. What else do we want to... Maybe go to Heifer and preach there. Do some damage control. The Dothan Prophet. Permanent effect. Whenever Dothan is without Sin Clouds and Idols, the next revealed location to receive Sin will be revealed. Whenever a prophet is in Dothan, Sin cannot spread from Aram. I was just there! Darn sinners in Joppa. Through security? Hey, that's great to hear. That was nice and fast. No! Do not listen to the lies of Assyria. Since that's a permanent thing, I may as well do it. It blocks Aram from spreading, so... I feel like I might want to go clear up Hazor. Absolutely. Push down that idol. Build an altar. Vision. Let's look at locations, actually. Hazor and Megiddo. Well, it's a good thing I went to clear up Hazor. Because that could have been a problem. That would have been 3 sin clouds. That makes an idol. Because we all know that's exactly how sinning works. It makes clouds. Hold on, let me check. Apparently, it's a pretty low sin day in New York. Which I have a hard time believing, but, you know, here we are. Honestly, probably just gain a resource. Solomon! Shown the unknown. Look at the next 3 future locations to receive sin clouds. You may choose to move them to the bottom of the deck. Ooh. Okay, so who's going first? The well-informed. Let's take a look at resources. So cattle and gold. Don't really need that for either, but may as well do this. Mount Carmel. There it is. Oh shoot. So here's the interesting problem. I need to decide whether or not to put all of them on the bottom or back on top. I thought I could decide individually. Because Shelby, again, is the thing that shuffles them. And you know what? I'm going to just see what happens. We're going to put that on the bottom. We will try. I know the next 2 resources is cattle and gold. Well, I guess if he travels to Joppa, gains 2 resources, he'll get a gold. He can spend a gold to get a wood. And then I can make an altar. I think that was a pretty good turn. Sailors in Hazor. May as well preach while we're there. Probably travel to Kabul. Preach. Jeroboam! First of the bad kings. Each prophet must discard half their cattle resources, rounding up. If cattle is drawn from it this turn, discard it instead. Well. Concern it, Judah. I mean, I don't mind just building an altar. Just, it's one less thing to worry about. How far south can he get? I may as well get to Megiddo. Because I think I'll need to use him to clear out resources. Cattle. Well, I don't want to draw those. I don't want to draw those this turn. I know that. Wish I could build another altar here at Bethel and then just... that'd clear out so much, but alas. Just make sure they don't have 2 sin clouds there. Basha. Foolish prophets. Any prophet who does not either remove 2 sin clouds or an idol has to discard all their resources. Jerk. So glad I cleared out a Sin Cloud at Bethel there. That would have ended poorly. I should have waited to do that. Cattle and a grain. Omri. Foretold, after 2 more sin and punishments, a location containing the sin clouds will be destroyed and cannot be entered again. Any altars there are destroyed. Each prophet lose half their grain and can't get grain this turn. That's fine, actually. Dan is sinning mightily this game. And it's a problem because it's up in the corner. You're here in Heifer. Don't need cow. Don't need grain. Don't really need... Well, I need gold. But what I need is stone. Let's look at some resources. Stone and grain. Well, I definitely want the stone. No, I can't quite make it to Dan. Call me Ahab, what? This round, a prophet may not enter a location that has an idol. If a prophet starts their turn in a location with an idol, they must leave that location. Well, we have no idols. Uh-oh, Bad Roxy has redeemed a father joke. Joke's on Gilead. That's the joke. No, I'm kidding. Did you hear why the student couldn't steal a seat? It's because the teacher told them to take it. Stone and cattle. Well, I don't want him to take it. Because he already has stone, but the next guy can take it and build an altar. I'm upset that I laughed. That is the appropriate response. Remove all sin clouds in current location. Also removes 1 sin cloud. That seems a better use of my time and resources. And I get a blessing. That's right. I need to do that more. I had a great visit with my family. It was really good to see my parents and just spend a lot of time with them. It was really nice. Don't want to get this... Do that, because I'll take the stone. Okay, do want that. Let's go build an altar and do a sacrifice. Selling of grain. Each prophet discards any amount of their grain and draws just as many new resources of your choice. Oh, interesting. The house of the Lord. Each prophet may immediately move to any location containing an altar. Ooh. Hey, Happy Cynic. Who made this game? That's a good question. I don't remember. I know it's a board game originally. And I think it's supposed to be co-op, like each player is a prophet. Feasting and joy. The location containing the most sin clouds is destroyed. Darn it, Dan! But this is a pretty as far as I can tell, I've never played the actual physical board game, but this one seems pretty direct, honestly, of its implementation or whatever you want to call it. But, you know, you can see the deck of cards that you would have, so. Hey, Mezuk Mind, what is this, a Bible game? It is. It's called Kings of Israel. It's actually, I think it's good. It's kind of a zone of control game because you're basically, you play as these prophets who are unnamed, and you're just going around the cities of Israel after the split, and you're attempting to build altars and prevent the worship of false idols. And you do that through stopping sin clouds and idols being played. It's actually very fun. What was I doing? I don't feel like I want to move to anywhere with an altar right now. So that doesn't feel very useful. Using Heifer. Let's see what can... Wow, I'm getting... Can't quite get to Nebo. Ah, there's so much stone. I don't need so much stone. There we go. Now I can build an altar next turn. That'll be nice. Because I only need 2 more altars. Let's look at the resources. Wood. Not super useful. Yeah, no, Judah is in fact, Judah is listed here as one of the external nations from which sin clouds can come. Sin clouds would be really convenient in real life if we had those. Yeah, could you imagine confession? Basically, the priest would just have a fan just blowing them away. So I don't... I mean, I guess I need to go through the wood to get to the gold. That's grain. There's also grain. Rejected materials. This becomes a permanent action for the prophets that uses it. Once per turn, the prophet may discard 2 of their resources and take a resource of their choosing from the resource deck. That is really powerful, actually. That is a really powerful build. Isn't Sincloud a villain in Final Fantasy? Probably. To talk about idols this time, like given today's first reading. I don't remember what today's first reading is. I remember looking at the gospel. Anyway. Yeah, if we do this, we can throw away a wood and a stone. No, it's only from the discard pile. I forgot about that. Dingo's fetid kidneys. Which you can't see. It's behind my head. But, dang, that would have been really handy to get a gold there. Oh, there we go. Mount Ebel, because it doesn't have an altar already. And his turn. Move him up to door. Build an altar, and we win the game. We didn't even have any Hosea condemns Israel and Samaria for building idols of silver and gold. There you go. And behold, Hosea. Rank up! Okay, so I was wondering what that would look like, and, well, I got my answer. Okay, so we have the giving. Can give resources to other prophets for free. To any prophet adjacent by road. And imposing will, new sin clouds cannot appear in his location. Okay. This prophet... oh, that's the Joppa. The Joppa wood. We'll absolutely activate that early. Where's the imposing? Oh, imposing wills in Gilead. Okay. Carmel already has an idol. Be gone! Be gone, idol! Actually, I don't want to move. I just want to get a resource, I think. Definitely want to preach at least once here in Tirza. I think we'll be reading from Hosea for the next few days. Yeah, that's how the lectionary works. It's fun reading through the Minor Prophets. Oh, I gotta get to Jericho. That is not okay. Jericho! Jericho! Is Jaffa a city where alien overlords recruit armies of slave warriors with forehead tattoos? Why do I know this reference? I can't place this reference, but I know this reference. Also, good to see you, Brayherd. Each of the seaports will receive a resource. Anyone who enters in or starts on one of these ports may take that location's resource for free. Nice. Stargate. Ah. Hulk smash puny idols. I feel like I am heavily on damage control here. The alien warriors are called Jaffa. Ah, okay. See, I never watched Stargate. But I feel like I've probably just heard that, you know, since I'm terminally online. I don't want Gilead to get an idol. Because then if they get 3 Sin Clouds, they get an idol, and they push a Sin Cloud to each neighboring location. But I can't get there this turn. Maybe I just traveled to Akko and get the wood. Solomon, Ammonites driven out. Remove all Sin Clouds from Jabesh Gilead. Yes, let's go! Rather be lucky than good any day. Boof. Now we don't even have to worry about that. So you just need gold, but I don't like... Oh, whoops. You're the prophet up there. Okay. You still only just need gold. So much grain. Jeroboam the First. Thieves. After every move or travel action is performed, the prophet loses a resource if they have any. Ugh. Do the Jaffa aliens make cakes? Do they make Jaffa cakes? I like Jaffa cakes. I made that joke last time, and I'm going to make it every time the city of Jaffa comes up. Yeah, I'll lose a wood. Let's get to Mount Tabor. Double preach. And get a cattle. Asha! Mount Gilboa gains 2 Sin Clouds, and Sin spreads from Philistia. But Philistia, Tyre, and Ethiopia, these will be called her children. I love that line in the Psalms. Okay, this is a problem. This is a danger problem. Guess I probably want to move him to Gilboa. Preach at least once. Ooh, that's actually great. Put an altar there. So what happens if there are too many sin clouds? You lose? Yeah, you see the numbers up here at the top? So there's 13 sin clouds in the box remaining, 7 idols remaining, and 4 altars remaining. I win if I place all the altars. I lose if all the idols or all the sin clouds get placed. And if 3 sin clouds gather at a location, they gain an idol, and it pushes a sin cloud to each neighboring location. So right now, if Bethel fell, it would cause Shiloh to fall. It would cause Joppa to fall. So, like, it would have a huge chain reaction. Can't have that. Wild beasts. We lose half our cattle. Eh. Now, I'm trying to remember, was it Paul or Job or both that sailed out of Joppa? Stop that! Stop barking! At this point, I almost don't want to try getting a resource for him. I'm confused. It costs a cattle or a... Oh, I just was in the middle of a glitch there. It would have let me move without actually having the thing. But now that I've gone back, it won't. Let's preach at Joppa. I'm most worried about Samaria, because also if an idol happens to be placed somewhere, it destroys the altar. Each prophet loses their grain. Yay! Oh, maybe it doesn't push a sin cloud to each neighboring one. I thought it did. Or maybe that's in a harder mode. I don't know. I guess the difference in real life is that God doesn't actually lose when Israel succumbs to idolatry. Yeah. Okay, this isn't terrible, because I can go build an altar at Dothan. I wish I could have enough to do a sacrifice. That would have been a sweet sacrifice. Sure, we'll build an altar at Joppa. At this point, I'm just interested in building altars. Shiloh receives 2 sin clouds and from Philistia. Ah, but sin cloud can't go to him because he's like, no! And also Shiloh just fell. This is a really cool game for a Bible game. Yeah, I really dig it. I wasn't sure what to expect. I just kind of knew it was biblically themed and a board game. So this is my second week of playing it. And honestly, yeah, like, I'd get this for my nieces and nephews and be like, yo, you want to play this game? Also, if you run out of the timeline of kings, the Assyrians just come in and invade, and you lose. Each prophet may immediately move to any location containing an altar. Yay, Jehu, the last good king. Okay. That's good, actually, because then we can use that grain to get up there, push over that idol. I've had it with these idols. All up in my ancient Israel. Ooh, good. I have an idea. Okay, so I can move him anywhere. I think I want to keep him there so he can clear at Hazor. But I want to move this guy to Joppa. Wait, I thought I had the wood thing. Or is that only... Imported cedar. Yeah. Yeah, hello? Hello, I would like to do the thing. I have the ability. Or do I... Yeah, the discard's... It's not that. Let's maybe do that. No, wow. Doesn't want to let me do it. Oh, now I can. Fine. Anyway, that will let him build an altar next turn. Locations are drawn and discarded until a nation is drawn. That's Philistia. That's not a problem, because I'm in Joppa. I can see how certain prophets even interact well. So, like the guy who foresees what is in the location pile, you can move the other guy to block it. Discard locations. Oh, that's the end of the location deck. Cool. Let's move to Bethel, make an altar. Do we get grain? We got grain! Let's do a sacrifice! That was honestly pretty clutch. Look at the next 3 future locations. Sin clouds may choose to move them top or bottom. Okay. Jehoash. Resource limit is 3 this round? Ugh. Okay, that one honks. Paul's missionary journeys might make a cool type of this game. You have to manage young Christian communities in different cities by sending letters and preachers to keep them from falling into error or apostasy. I like that. That is a cool idea. Unfortunately, Gale, it's not quite Scry 3. It's look at the top 3, take them all or nothing. So I can't quite manage, peeking at everything. Okay, so Kadesh. I like that it highlights them. I think that's fine, actually, because all of those only have 1. Put them less instead. No, we're going to keep them on top. Yeah, if I get a gold, though. Said if I get a gold, though. There we go. Okay, he can make an altar next turn. Two movements left. I wouldn't mind going to Samaria and doing a or Mount Gilboa and doing a sacrifice. But I have to sacrifice one of these things for the travel to get there. Each prophet may not build an altar or draw more than 2 resources this round unless they discard a gold card. Oh! That's okay. That only delays us a turn. We just have to build 1 altar. 1 altar and we win. We're just also very low on Sin Clouds. Although this guy's going to do a sacrifice, which will put a few back in the deck. Don't feel like I need him to gather resources, honestly. At this point, because the other guy can build an altar. Oh, no, that's actually what I wanted. I don't know if I can get a gold, though. So I think I'm just gonna play it safe. Remove one idol from any location. Oh, okay. Well. So we're going for military, culture, or religious victory here. Religious. Always religious. Mount idols. Foretold event. This will occur after 2 more sin locations. Okay, that doesn't affect us because 1 more sin punishment is going to be drawn here. It takes an extra action to acquire a resource this round. No one may travel by sea. That's fine. Because we just built an altar and win. Okay, so it just seems like as you play more, you usually need to play 2 rounds to level up. Although the lose penalty did get bigger. A reasonable mistake, but Jaffa is a city where tiny cakes come from. We've already made that joke, Sub-Zero. But those jokes are always welcome, because Jaffa cakes are delicious. Let's do a study round. So I have Well-Informed and Merchant. Merchant's nice, because Merchant can just hold a bunch. I need to remember what today's gospel is all of a sudden. Oh yeah. I didn't have a mass today, but I did look at this ahead of time. Couldn't close the window. I love the pity, and I mean that in a loving way, like that Jesus has when he sees the crowds, like, because I think there's this realization that in his humanness, he's like, I cannot heal all these people and reach all their hearts by myself. And there's a beautiful humility to that when it's coming, from the incarnation, who is limited by his humanness. But still, there's a great beauty of that in inviting us to be a part of it. Ooh, 3 gold. When did Samuel become dedicated to God? Before he was born. Let's look at some resources. Cattle and wood. Yeah, you can have both of those, actually. And you know what? You are going to make a sacrifice. Because that'll clear out Dothan, but also give us a blessing. And then next turn, you can build an altar at Dothan. Oh no, you're going straight to Othak and pushing this idol over. Delivered. Next round. Sin cannot increase, and new idols cannot appear in any location with either a prophet or an altar. That's actually pretty handy, especially kind of late game. Gather the flock. Whenever a prophet ends a move action at a new location this round, you may remove a sin cloud from there for free. Okay. No! No, Dan already has an idol. This is a problem. Where was David and his men staying when Gad told him to go to Judah? I believe Moab. I was right. Ooh, we can build an altar. Oh, he can use gold to travel. That's pretty sweet. That makes sense. He's the merchant. I'm gonna do that right away. Wait until you're about Zion. What was David doing in southern Utah? Going to Arches. Climbing up the golden trot away. Yeah, that's exactly how that works. Well, we'll just give him 3 gold. Wait, he can make a sacrifice of gold as well, apparently. Why does this dude have so many powers that it doesn't talk about? Like, he's secretly the most powerful character, I think. David was in southern Utah because he wanted to get some stuff up before the lost tribes of Israel got there. Wood and cattle. Well, I definitely want him to have the wood, I guess. I guess we'll take the cattle as well, because I need to get up here, clear out some of this nonsense. Capitalism, ho! Yeah, indeed. Well, the merchant just, he's like, everyone can carry 5 things? No, I can carry 8. Oh, we need to use this to travel? No, I'm going to use that to travel. Oh, we need this to sacrifice? No, I'm going to use that to sacrifice. It's like, he's like a blue player. Each prophet may discard any amount of their grain and draw just as many new resources of your choice. Yes. We've all seen clouds from Jabesh Gilead. Well, okay. No, oh, it can hang on to that. That's good. Dang it, Kadesh. Dang it, Judah. You're making Jericho fall into idolatrous practices. What god do the Israelites worship originate from the Moabites? Baal is the Babylonians, so the Moabites are Molech. No, Chemosh. There are so many theories about the Lost Tribes. The question is, where didn't the Lost Tribes go? Yeah, you just missed Rotada, I'm afraid. Nanakit. I don't have anything at Gilead. This might be useful this turn, just to go parading up through here. Wood and cattle. I'm lurking and working. Do you feel like you're being watched? I mean, always. It helps that I have a camera right there. Good to see you, Pete Tony. Baal is the main villain of Diablo 2. Wait, hold on. How's my Tuesday? My Tuesday is good. Yeah, we need to deal with that nonsense. Wood and cattle, wood and cattle. Well, sadly, I'm not getting up there this turn. However, he can get up to Kadesh. Push that over. Breach so that doesn't come back. Oh, shoot. Cameras are scary. Cameras are always watching. Sin spreads from Aram, and any prophet that starts their turn adjacent to Aram loses 1 action point. Wait a minute. One of my dudes adjacent to Aram. I didn't sign up for this. That's right. Baal is just a term for Lord and has multiple different connotations depending on context. Aram assisted what other nation in their battle against King David? Bible Gateway! The Ammonites realized that they had become obnoxious to... That's a funny way to phrase it. Obnoxious to David. They are 20,000 Aramean foot soldiers from Beth Rehob and Zobah, as well as the king of Makkah with 10,000, also 12,000 men from Tob. Ammon. Okay, let's take a peek at resources. Cattle, grain. If I had an altar, that would be really handy to get the cattle and the grain so I could do a sacrifice, but I don't have an altar. Also, he's already down 1 action, which honks. So I may as well come down here and preach away a cloud. Next turn, I'll push over the altar, or the idol. Which idols would have had altars, so... Prophets may not enter a mount... Ah! Oh, that's a problem. I should have used... I didn't see that had 2 clouds. Otherwise, I would have used this, and... Oh, well. I can use it now. Who brought back the life of a woman named Tabitha at Joppa? John the Baptist, Jesus, Saul, Peter. Well, it's in Acts, so we know it's not John the Baptist or Jesus. Gosh, could it be Saul? Probably not, because it would have been Paul at that point. It is interesting how many of those you can do by deduction. Anyway, knock it off, Jericho. Grain and wood. Well... Let's push out Jabba. Ooh, that destroyed the idol as well. That's pretty powerful, actually. I thought that would just get rid of the clouds. I think I have an opportunity here. If I sell the grain, I could get a stone and a wood so he can make an altar. Destroy the idols! Exactly. I should wear a deer stalker? Why should I wear a deer stalker? Well, maybe the answer is Jesus, because that's maybe who is actually doing the miraculous stuff from Genesis to Revelation. I mean, that's fair. If you want to get technical, I mean, it could be by the power of the Holy Spirit. Hey, Sanvertus. Good to see ya. Yeah, I may as well just preach again. Build an altar. I think I'm going to activate that. Move him to Kadesh. And then move him to Hazor. So that takes care of a lot of stuff. Sin on altars! That is a lot of sinning. That is a lot of sinning right there. But one altar in Israel is destroyed and a sin cloud is put in its location. No, don't destroy my altar. No, I just worked hard to put that there. Hey, Brad nailed it. Good to see ya. We're currently driving the clouds of sin out of ancient Israel. It's not going spectacular, if I'm honest. The Philistines originate from which of Noah's sons? Lamech, Japheth, Ham, Shem. I do like that it gives you the Bible Gateway link right there. Like, beyond just being like, oh, we know you could look it up, but also just like, it is a cool way to engage these questions and like, you don't just have to guess at it. It's like, okay, cool. You can, you can research. So it makes it historically accurate. I mean, I think humanity is on the struggle bus with sin, so. Who are we looking for again? The Philistines. Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. Seb, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, and Sabteka. Sheba, and Dan. Cush was the father of Nimrod, a mighty hunter whose name became synonymous with being dumb because Bugs Bunny would ironically call Elmer Fudd a Nimrod. Okay, so out of Egypt came the Philistines. So Ham. Meep. Meep, you're blocking the Bible. Meep. That's where that comes. Yeah, this is where the term Nimrod comes from. It was actually the name of a mighty warrior. And my game closed. Okay, gratuitous educational content. Yep. Yeah, it started with that. Because Bugs Bunny was doing it ironically, like, oh, you're a real Nimrod. Me blocking the Bible, all according to Keikaku. Translator note, Keikaku means plan. Dingo's fed kidneys. I don't know what to do. I guess just gather resources for now. Cattle and grain. Well, if that was gold, that would be really good, because then I could make an altar. Foolish prophets. Any prophet who does not remove 2 sin clouds. Oh, that's an easy one. What leader destroyed the nation of Judah? Ben-Hadad, Nebuchadnezzar, Shalmaneser, Hazael. I believe it was Nebuchadnezzar, because that was the... Joachim was 18 years old when he became king. He reigned in Jerusalem for 3 months. His mother's name was Nehushta, daughter of Elnathah. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father has done. David's line was disturbingly good at that. At that time, the officers of Nebuchadnezzar. Yep, that's what I thought. One thing that I learned recently is that the Coptic version of Trisagion hymn specifically refers to Christ, not all 3 persons. They say, Holy God, Holy Mighty, Holy and Immortal, who was crucified for us. Huh. That's really cool. And not theologically inaccurate. I mean, still, the Trisagion, is a hymn to all 3 persons, but by virtue of the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit each are Holy God, Holy Mighty, and Holy Immortal. So it's kind of cool to have that particular incarnational model. That's really interesting. Actually, I was thinking of you the other day, Brayherd. I came across an American-styled chant of the Trisagion. Like, it was an Appalachian-styled chant. That it was almost like bluegrass. It was really interesting to listen to. I should send it to you sometime on the Discord. See what you think of it. Preach. Get another grain so that I can... Oh, whoops. I meant to travel there. But preaching is good too. Ah! No, my cows! Yeah, I'll post it in the Discord. It was actually decently well done. Like, it didn't feel disrespectful. It was just interesting hearing the tonalities of Appalachian English. Didn't we already get this question? I guess there's a different nation. But I don't... This one is much more just the one line. Alright, where are you at? You're up there. Why don't you travel... Travel? Yeah, let's get a resource. Grain and cattle. I wouldn't mind having both of those ultimately. Oh wait, I can't have one of those. But I can build an altar! The prophet that uses this gains a second ability. Basically, that means I grab a second prophet out of the box and just staple it onto an existing prophet. Who did Barak and Deborah defeat at Mount Tabor? We had this last time. I think it was the Bills? Conjoined prophets. Yeah. Go. The I guess the Canaanites? Okay. Let's take a look at some resources. Cattle, gold. Well, I do like the idea of... Let's give him a second ability. What is it? Terrify. Move a sin cloud from current location to an adjacent location. Okay. Begone! How many times can I do that? Can I just do that endlessly? So now he just needs stone and he can make another altar. But he can make a sacrifice. That's handy. Speaking of Mount Tabor. Just need gold. Said I just need gold. Ooh, Gifts from the Sea. That's a good card. Some of the attempts to do American-style Orthodox chants sound better than others. There's an Orthodox abbess who's done some stuff based on the traditional way of singing in black churches. She said that she wants people from her community to be able to hear that they recognize as sounding like church so that they realize that they are welcome even though their church has the word Serbian in the name. Yeah, no, I think that totally makes sense. That's, you know, I think enculturation is an inherent value in the life of faith precisely because faith is for all peoples. And so, but, you know, we need to have that sense of it not feeling imposed or foreign. You need to go back to Mount Tabor? Never been, but I would love to go sometime. Anyway, flee from gods! Starting prophet must immediately move to Joppa. No one may enter locations that contain the most sin clouds this round. That's obnoxious, but not the end of the world. Hey, Clutch. Yeah, and sacrifices remove all the sin clouds in a particular location and one in each of the surrounding areas. Peter had a vision in Joppa that the Jews were able to do what from then on? Marry Canaanite women, eat foods that were unclean, touch dead bodies, work on Sabbath. Eat foods that were unclean. It's one of my favorite passages in the Bible. Okay. You're in Joppa. Can I get you to Akko? Not quite on one travel. Now we'll go to Mount Carmel. Oh, I could have gone to Dor and done a sacrifice. I guess it's not too late, but... Yeah, it's not a great idea to visit that part of the world right now. What are my resources coming up? Wood and gold. Well, it's good to know that I could do this, grab the wood, and then he'd be able to get the gold next turn. We can just activate Gifts of the Sea. Let's move you to Mount Gilboa, I guess. Reach that cloud away. Get a resource. Altar in Bethel. Any idol in the first prophet's location is immediately removed for free. A permanent effect is also given the prophet. They can build an altar in Bethel for free. We already have an altar in Bethel. And I don't remember where the merchant started. Okay, that activates in 2 turns. Every location where the prophet gains a sin cloud. Okay. Dan, are you sinning again? Jehoash spoke to the prophet Elisha about his problems with the attacking Arameans. What did Elisha tell him to do? It was out of a window. It's to shoot the arrow out of a window. We got that one last time. That's why I know that. You're here in Gilboa. Cattlestone. Well, it's not ideal. But that does let me build an altar. And I could do a sacrifice. Which at Mount Gilboa is pretty good. That hits 3 spots. Get some gold from there. Actually, let's see. Where can I move to that would be useful? I think Akko. So then I can build an altar. If I get a grain... Or if I get a gold, apparently, I can do a sacrifice. Oath of Great Noise! Choose one altar on the map. One sin cloud will be removed from each location connected to it by a road. That's powerful. God-given strength. When using the preach action, it will remove all sin clouds from the location for 1 round only. I like that. Each prophet may not build an altar unless they spend a gold. Obnoxious, but not the end of the world. I heard Boat of Great Noise. That's also... I mean, that also happens a lot in the Bible. So, Clutch, you've redeemed a father joke, and I got a good one for you. What did the couch say when it wanted to change channels? Nothing. Couches don't talk. Who's the blind man healed by Jesus in Jericho? So my parents have a blind cat who they've given the middle name Bartimaeus to. So that's why I know that. I heard Oath of Great Noise and thought it would be a great paladin subclass. Clang, clang, come get your beatings. Unfortunately, I don't really have an altar in a great location to do that with. But I think I will do God-given strength, because then I can clear out Kadesh Dan. Grain. Well, I can take a grain, travel up to Hamath, reach there, and I may as well just get another resource. My priest described the healing as an eye-opening experience. For all mount locations containing sin clouds, remove any altar there and receive an idol. No! Fortunately, I did not have any altars at any of the mounts. So that's fine. Whew. The Israelites were oppressed by Eglon, king of Moab, until what judge rescued them? I don't know my judges. Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and because they did this evil, the Lord gave Eglon, king of Moab, power over Israel. Getting the Ammonites and the Amalekites to join, Eglon came and attacked Israel and took possession of the city of Palms. The Israelites were subject to Eglon, king of Moab, for 18 years. Again, the Israelites cried out to the Lord and gave them a deliverer, Ehud, a left-handed man, son of Gera the Benjaminite. Look at that, left-handed representation in the Bible. I literally did not know that existed. That's cool. I'm right-handed. The way it should be. Gold and cattle. No, I don't want to get any resources from him, because then he can get the gold and he can build the last altar. Claire's Sinistral. Eglon, king of Moab, has a very graphic death. Is he the one who gets, like, a sword put through him? With only one altar destroyed, too. That's actually pretty good. A lot of idols at the end. But we won! We won in the reign of King Menahem. We only had Pekah, and Hoshea left before, you know, everything went bad. Okay, I want to do another custom one. Yes, the false prophet. Yes, the Bible study. Merchant. Well-informed. I don't know what Trailsman does, because I don't think I've ever had that one. And I don't think I've ever had Farmer, so we'll get Farmer. Trailsman. Moving out of a mount location does not cost an action. Ooh, that's nice. Farmer can draw the top resource from the discard deck if it's a cattle or grain. That is handy. He can do a lot of sacrifices. Sharpening iron. Guess Ehud put a sword through him. He's so fat that... Yeah, he's the fat one. Yeah. It was a double-edged sword. It was an important point at that time. Do I know which Bible character had no parents? I mean, Adam and Eve. Joshua, son of Nun. Well played. Well played, Clutch. Oh, man. Oh. Oh, that slew me. All profits receive a permanent action once per round. You may gain a single profit. A single profit may give another profit one resource for free if they are in the same location. Okay. Not bad to just have. These lists were repressed by Eglon. Where I had this. Ehud, the lefty. So I may as well just give everyone that. Why are there so many idols? Stone wood. I think I'm gonna offer a sacrifice because that gets rid of the false prophet for a moment. Because there aren't enough jobs to go around, so of course you find people idle. Oy. It's an old quest in RuneScape that involves a monk's baby making noise and disturbing people. Didn't make sense to me when I saw it, but I guess that's what Joshua is too. Yeah, just get another resource. Wait, where? Oh, you're at Mount Tabor. Okay, cool. So you can immediately move here to Megiddo. Preach. Let's get a resource. Ooh, let's build an altar in Megiddo. And preach again. Farmer can draw the top resource. It's currently wood. Push over an idol. Jabesh Gilead. Oh, farming takes an action. That's unfortunate. Why are there so many idols? Every Old Testament prophet who ever saw what was going on. Yeah. Oath of great noise. Wisdom given. Look at the next 5 locations that will increase and arrange them in any order. That's good because that spreads out across 2 turns. What leader did not fight the Ammonites? Jephthah, David, Omri, Saul. Well, Omri is a judge. 1st and 2nd Samuel is going to be David and Saul, so it's going to be Jephthah. Oh, I got that backwards. No. Not you, Kadesh. Whenever prophet ends move, may remove a sin cloud for free. Okay. Dang it, Hazor, not you too. And the false prophet's right there. Which 2 kings of Judah died in Megiddo? Amon and Josiah. Ahaziah and Josiah. Josiah and Jehoiakim. I can't even say that. Pronounce that one. Ahaziah and Amon. Okay. Well, it's both the 2nd kings, so. Well, Josiah was king. Okay, so it has to be Josiah. But there's 2 with Josiah. So is it Ahaziah? Ahaziah was king of Judah. Yeah, I don't mind getting that cattle back, actually. Because then... Whenever prophet ends, move action may remove a sin cloud from the location for free. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that this turn, so I can clear out Hazor and Kadesh a little bit. Cattle and grain, okay. get you to Shiloh. I just don't want so many idols around. Daily fun fact. Today is the feast of St. Augustine Zhao Rong and his 119 martyred companions. Yep. Pray for us, St. Augustine Zhao Rong. Okay, where are you at? You're there. You're in Megiddo. Okay, Kadesh is just going to have to wallow in sin for a little bit. God-given strength. Use the preach action. Ooh, that is really good for me right now. That's really powerful with everything that's going on in this board. Oh, Shelby again already? That was early. Oh, I didn't do the look at the 5 locations thing. Oh, Solomon asked for wisdom. That's an easy one. I'm gonna great noise at Megiddo. Gonna definitely wisdom given. Okay, Assyria, Kadesh, Dothan. Which one's Dothan? It's right there. That's what. Okay. Monster Ultra Fantasy Ruby Red has a Night Lord Space Marine on the can. Those are words. Oh, I should have activated this. Dang it. Probably still worth it, actually. Okay, I know Dothan's about to get a thing, so I may as well preach there. Golden Grain, okay, Golden Grain. May not enter a location that has an idol. If they start their turn in a location with an idol, they cannot leave. What if I destroy the idol? Throw me the whip. Throw me the idol. That's it. If an idol gets a sin cloud, it pushes elsewhere. Jeroboam the first was made king of Israel instead of Solomon's son Rehoboam. Rehoboam wanted to only lead Judah. Rehoboam was assassinated. Jeroboam did not worship false idols. Israel rebelled against Rehoboam. Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all of Israel had gone there to make him king. When Jeroboam, son of Nebat, heard this, he returned from Egypt, so they sent for Jeroboam. And he and the whole assembly went to Rehoboam. 3 days later, Jeroboam and all the people returned to Rehoboam. As the king had said, "Come back to me in 3 days." The king answered the people, harshly rejecting the advice given him by the elders. He followed the advice of the young men and said, "My father made your yoke heavy. I will make it heavier. My father scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions." That's metal. So the king did not listen to the people, for this turn of events was from the Lord, to fulfill the word the Lord had spoken to Jeroboam, son of Nebat, through Ahijah the Shilonite. When all Israel saw the king refuse to listen to them, they answered the king, What share do we have in David? What part in Jesse's son? To your tents, Israel. Look after your own house, David. So the Israelites went. But as for the Israelites who were living in the towns of Judah, Rehoboam still ruled over them. Rehoboam sent out Adoniram, who was in charge of the forced labor, but all Israel stoned him to death. King Rehoboam, however, managed to get into his chariot and escape to Jerusalem. So Israel had been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. When all Israelites heard that Jeroboam had returned, they sent and called him to the assembly and made him a king over Israel. The only tribe of Judah remained loyal to the house of David. Oh, whoops. I misread how that was worded. I was like, I guess it's just that. Father Evan, is there a prayer that you really enjoy praying outside of the big three? The Jesus prayer. Also Mass. I didn't need to do that. Although, if I get the gold there, he could build an altar. Typical Father Evan W. I mean, it's a safe bet with a priest. So much grain. So much grain. I can't fast travel to Samaria, but I can fast travel to Dothan. That's weird. Let's go to Megiddo. Let's make a sacrifice. Now we get a blessing. You been enjoying the Litany of Humility? I've heard good. I've done it. It is beautiful. So I'm glad that you are. But there's also kind of something funny about I've been enjoying the Litany of Humility. There's just something about that in English that just makes me laugh. No, not more idols. I just knocked down the idol and Dan. Dingoes fed and kidneys. Solomon gave the land of Kabul to the king of Tyre for his help building. Solomon gave the land of Kabul to what king of Tyre for his help building the temple? Okay, the way that was worded, I thought it was a sentence for a moment. I was very confused. It's like being punched in the gut, but it feels good. Yeah. It also uses the word calumniated. Hiram. Hiram, king of Tyre. Hiram, I guess? I don't know. There's the town of Hiram back home. One altar in Israel is destroyed. No, and not Mount Nebo too. Oh, this is just going from bad to worse. I might just lose here. I just lost. There were way too many sin clouds. So this is definitely a game that scales in difficulty with more players. Now, admittedly, I also had the false prophet. But like the more players you have, the more altars you need to build. But also, I think the more locations get flipped. Yeah, Litany of Trust is also good. Sin clouds make heresy reign. Fair enough. Fair enough. So what if we just did merchant Well informed. Blessings from sacrifices. No study. No false prophet. Poor Rain. Permanent action prophet. Once per turn, prophet may discard. Ooh, that's really powerful to have at the beginning. Especially on the merchant who can get so many materials. Stone wood. Well, don't mind if I do. Imported cedar. Okay. It's a good one. Each prophet may discard any amount of their grain, draws many new resources. Okay, that's a good one to hold on for later. Bad idols. No! Made an idol in Kabul. Help! The Sin Clouds are bullying me. Stone and grain. Okay. Definitely want the stone. Might as well grab the grain. Head up to Kabul. Each prophet may immediately discard one of the resources to remove a sin cloud from anywhere on the map. Alright. Seems good when there's a bunch of sin clouds on the other end of the map. Like that. Push that idol over. Cattle. Well, I'll take one cattle for now to do some fast travel. Nope, first Bad King. Locations are drawn and discarded until a nation. Okay. Shall be again. That was quick. I mean, if you're in the military, yes, sir, is, it's just the proper thing to call your, higher-ups, so, you know. Yeah, if he gets the gold, he can build an altar, so... Push that over. I don't want to sell any... I don't have selling of grain yet. But I think I might want to... activate that. Sure, we'll put the altar in Akko. The Akko altar. Taken prisoner. Any prophet that's adjacent by the road to an outside nation at the end of this turn will lose their next turn. Okay, you guys, time to get out of condition. Akko. No, and that's gonna give an idol to Afek. Let's build an altar there. Look at the resources. Grain and stone. I don't want to lose my next turn. That's pretty punishing. So I guess I really have to go to cobble. Go in peace, my man. That is one way to end a confession. Take an extra action point to acquire a resource this round. No one may travel by sea. Oh no! I do not have high hopes for this game. We've gotten some pretty bad cascade failures. Stone grain. Shoot. I didn't want to do that. Okay, that'll trigger next turn. Sun clouds appear in both Dan and Joppa. Any prophet with a grain resource has one less action this round. He looks so menacing with his grain. Just evil grain. I'm now heading off to go to the dentist. Are you jealous? No. No, I am not. Oh, look, we lost. In 6 minutes. Well, 7 minutes. That is some record time. This game is tough. So I think custom is just like automatically on the hardest difficulty. Because when I play here, I don't have nearly as many. I don't start with as many idols or sin clouds. That could get tricky. Dang. But I think I'm just going to call it there a little early today. Rather than dive into another round of this. This has been really interesting, though. I think this is a fun game. I think it uses the source material well and does so in a creative way. Like, it's a fun board game. I could see having a lot of fun playing this in person with people. Goes to confession, top coat, top hat, trench coat, sunglasses, and a talk box. That's maybe a little aggressive, but you know what? You do you. I don't remember when people go to confession. Like, sometimes people... Okay, the font for the splash screen was confusing. Yeah, I could see that. Quite real? Like I've sometimes had people come up and be like, "Thought that was an amazing confession you gave me yesterday, and or did with me or whatever, however you want to phrase it." And just like, I don't remember talking to you yet. I don't even remember seeing them. Just Holy Spirit, just whoop. It's very convenient, honestly. So I'm sorry to hear you're having a rough day, Clutch. I hope this was a bit of a bright light in the midst of it and a bit of space of positivity. Gale has redeemed a father joke. So I was recently babysitting my niece. And she really she's a good kid, but you know, she was grounded recently. She broke some rules. You know, so her mom grounded her, and you know, it's a learning opportunity for her, and I think an important one. But I was babysitting her, and she came up and said, Uncle Evan, I want to go to the fair. And I said, I'm sorry, kiddo, but you're grounded. We can't go. No, fair. Yeah, you're getting the idea of it. What? I think it's made funnier by the fact it sounds like a very real scenario, TPH. Thought it was going to be a goat joke. No, no goats. There were no kids in that pun. Today I heard a podcast that your sins are the least interesting part about you. That's true. That is true. But I like to think that my use of the rim shot, the badumtish delayed, makes it even funnier for some reason. It makes it funnier to me, and for me, that's enough. Clearly, people need more interesting sins, to quote Eddie Izzard. I poked a badger with a spoon. Well, there's always the meme. Still weird, but still not a sin. Still weird, but still not a sin. Father, forgive me for it's really all, Eddie Izzard's bit is really all about original sin, and it's, you know, uh, original sin's a terrible concept. Can you imagine having to come up with an original sin in confession? Oh, forgive me, Father, for I slept with my neighbor's wife. Oh, yawn, I've heard that one already. It wasn't your typical structure, but I asked a brief confession question as I started your joke. As a groaner. I did not see your question, Britt. Do you mind just retyping it? Is it true that you can't indicate that you saw them at confession at all because of the confessional seal? Or is that just some misconception I was once told? Basically, well, to be fair, if someone's in the confessional, you don't know for sure if they were even going to confession or if they just had to stop by and ask a random question. So, like, on that level, we don't know. It's usually best to just err on the side of not talking about it in general. If you objectively know, like you overhear or like you can clearly tell, not just insinuate, but tell, yes, you are bound by the seal as well to a certain to a degree. There's actually even room in canon law for translators to be used. So, like, let's say I had a confession with someone who was deaf and only knew sign language. They could have an interpreter in there. They have the right to that. But that interpreter has to understand going in that they are bound by the seal of confession. So, the seal is mostly there for the confessors, for us to protect the to uphold, to protect the identity and anonymity of those attending. But as a priest, you can't acknowledge that you saw someone there because saying that you saw them is breaking the seal. It depends on the context. If I were to tell you I saw a person XYZ in the church today, well, that could mean lots of things. If I were like, oh yeah, I saw them in the confessional today, I'd be like, well, okay, hold on, time out. And so honestly, outside of the logistics of just like the most I talk about confession with my fellow priests is around like when we do big reconciliation service events, and then it's logistics of like who's going to be where in the church and when, and we never talk about confession outside of that. Like we never talk about who went or what it usually the pastor will check in on. We do it after daily mass on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he might ask me, "Oh, a lot of people today, or a few?" And I'll be like, 6 or 7. I'll just give like a number. Like what you were saying it was a great confession. Are you able to acknowledge that you heard their confession, even if you were able to remember that you saw them? No, you cannot. The confessor cannot even reveal to an individual under normal circumstances. There are, of course, more. If someone is your personal confessor, someone your spiritual director who you go to regularly for confession, that is obviously a different relationship. But in a public space, no, like, I acknowledge that. I say, well, I'm glad that I could be there for you, and it's a blessing as a ministry, but like, I can't be like, oh yeah, you're the one who said sins A, B, and C. If someone else has divulged it though, because like the person who is going to confession is not bound by the seal. It's only the confessor and extended people, as I've talked about. You as the penitent have absolute right to share whatever you want. And in a sense, by the person sharing that publicly, that is them kind of waiving that right in a sense. And please, I am not a canon lawyer. I'm not giving out pure canonical advice, but there's room within that. If someone says that and they're with a friend, then their friend knows that they went to confession with me as a priest. And, again, I'm not going to say much, but IANACL. I am not a canon lawyer. Yep. The most important number in canon law? The phone number to the chancery. Going to confession is a flex. I envy y'all. Your day will come, Clutch. Your day will come. But my general just plan is I don't remember most of it anyway. So, but also good to see a Trekkie for Christ. I'm here thinking that thanks to HIPAA, there are some banger jokes I can never repeat outside of work. Yeah, that comes from working in the healthcare field. Yeah, ears on the side of caution. A lot of folks will do that, but again, that can vary given the relationship of spiritual director and confessor in a different way. But generally, it's still like, yeah, even, and like I actually even told someone once, like, it, I just remember this as a fact. I don't remember who it was, but they were like, "Oh, did I mention this before?" I was like, "I don't know if you've ever even been to confession with me before." So I just remember that exchange and just kind of giggling to myself, like, I don't know. But yeah, but thank you everyone for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. It's been good to be with y'all today looking at Kings of Israel. It was a lot of fun. I recommend getting this board game. It's fun. Yeah, Father, this is what I told you last confession. Who are you? Please get off my lawn. I'm calling the police. I mean, I don't have a lawn. I'm in New York City, but but yeah, that's gonna do it for today. Join us again on Thursday. We're doing more Castlevania. IDK, it's your day off. Days off. What a good thing as a priest to have. Anyway, join us again on Thursday for more Castlevania Symphony of the Night for Throwback Thursday. So that'll be good. And then Monday, no stream because I will be away. I'm going to Lake George this coming weekend for some rest and relaxation. I may be back for Tuesday. I may not. I don't know. Keep an eye on my Twitter for that. I know it's not called Twitter anymore. I don't care. I refuse to change. But we're going to be starting up one of my favorite games. One of the games that I actually used as a case study to share with my superiors around this idea. Thomas Was Alone. Thomas Was Alone. I love that game. It's the only game that's made me cry about a square. And then on Thursday, just keeping going with Oh, and next week we start midweek Minecraft. So on Wednesday we'll have Minecraft next week, and then on Thursday next week more Castlevania, unless we beat it this week. In which case we'll shift over to Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. My brain is going out the window. It's hip to be square, so I've heard. That's fair. So why don't we see who's live to raid right now? Let's see. Oh, Katie Fu is doing a puzzle game that I quite like called A Little to the Left. So we're gonna go head on over to her. So give her some love. Raid call is Father Evan Raid. Spam that meat morph. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for the likes, follows, subscribes, join the Discord, following over on YouTube. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Take care and God bless.